Hey everyone, happy Sunday to everyone here in chat. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to wherever you're at in the world. This is Viperstrike 95 here, and welcome here to the second installment of the Viperstrike City Tour series. And today we're actually in a place that's kind of special for me. This is actually my local major city here in the United States, being Louisville, Kentucky. This historic city was founded in 1798 by George Rogers Clark, and it's now become one of the most important cities in the Ohio River Valley, along with Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and eventually the crossroads being St. Louis. It's great to have everyone here today, and I'm happy to finally be here as well. So, thank you guys for coming today. It means quite a bit. Hello there, Naughty Gnome. Good to have you here. Thank you for coming, Naughty Gnome. So, yesterday was the Big O Kentucky Derby, and that was actually an amazing horse race. That was one of the best horse races I've seen in a long time. I can't believe that one of the horses managed to come all the way back from being behind to win. But it just represents why the Kentucky Derby is just such an exciting horse racing event. So, our flight plan for today, we're going to have another slideshow, but we're going to fly here from, here's our flight plan. I'm going to make it nice and big so everyone can see it. Ooh. So our flight plan today will be going through quite a few. First, we're going to start off taking off from historic Bowman Field, one of the oldest airports still operating in North America, if not the oldest airport still operating in North America. We're going to visit the Ford truck plant, where they produce the F-150s. For Ford F-150s are produced here in the U.S. Then we'll visit the historic Locust Grove, an historic mansion that used to be the gathering point for the Lewis and Clark Expedition, and several U.S. presidents visit there. Then we're going to go across the Ohio River, and we're going to visit my local airport, actually. This is Clark Regional. Kilo Juliet Victor Yankee. Then from here, we're going to take a small trip, and we're going to visit Indiana University Southeast. This is where I went to college, is IU Southeast. Then we'll visit New Albany, one of the small city towns living in the banks of the Ohio. Then we're going to visit the Falls of the Ohio State Park. We're going to visit around this area for a bit. We'll also be visiting George Rogers Clark home site in the Louisville. We'll be seeing that too. Then we head back to downtown Louisville. We'll be visiting Museum Row. We'll visit the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory, the Fraser History Museum, the Kentucky Science Center. We'll be visiting those. Then we'll be visiting the Muhammad Ali Center, the museum place for Muhammad Ali. There's also the Kentucky Center for Performing Arts. Then we'll be overlooking the Galt House. Then the Kfc Yum Center, the home basketball arena for your truly the Louisville Cardinals. Go Cards. Then we'll visit Louisville Slugger Field, the home of the Louisville Bats minor league baseball team. Then, even though this is not really in the sim, but we'll visit the site of Lynn Family Stadium, home of Louisville's one of the rising most popular teams in the city, Louisville City Football Club. We'll visit Cave Hill Cemetery. Then we'll visit the Ufo Hospital. Then visit the Kentucky International Convention Center. Then we visit the famous Lebron Hotel. Then we'll be flying through Spalding. We'll fly over a lot of old Louisville. We see some Victorian homes, the Conrad Caldwell House Museum. The University of Louisville will be flying around the campus. Then we'll be traveling to St. Xavier High School, one of the premier Catholic high schools in the state of Kentucky. Bellarmine University, Louisville Zoo. We visit the General Electric Appliance Park. But we're going to fly next to the airport and visit the Louisville Ford Assembly Plant. Then further west, one of the most haunted places in all of the United States, Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Then we'll visit the legendary Churchill Downs, home of the Kentucky Derby. Then we visit Cardinal Stadium, home of the University of Louisville football team. Then we visit the Kentucky Exposition Center and State Fair. Kentucky Kingdom Amusement Park, and then FileMaker Landing here at Muhammad Ali International. Cardinals are NBA? No, Louisville Cardinals are not NBA. They're college. Friend to all, but it's great to have you here, friend to all. Thank you for the chat. So, it's great to have you guys here. Yesterday was the run-in with the Kentucky Derby. It was a huge upset. Oh God, yeah, that was huge. That was a massive upset. So, of course, like last week, we were flying the Top Runners Solo 103. This is our little ultralight. A little ultralight plane, but this is what we're taking for the journey, is this little ultralight right here. It's a beautiful ultralight. It's a really nice plane. The other team's arena football. No. University of Louisville it has football, basketball, baseball, soccer / association football for collegiate, field hockey, lacrosse. I think that's one of the sports. But basically, Louisville's got a lot of sports. Like most of Louisville's sports are minor league teams, like minor league baseball, minor league soccer are the two big ones I mentioned. And that's it. And everything should be good. Everything's nice and clear. So let's go ahead and get to the taxiway. I probably should fill up the pool. This one is going to be a bit of a, it's not as long. I've had to make several changes to the city tour. So before we get talking about this, let me go ahead and show off. Let me go ahead and talk about Bowman Field for a little bit, guys. So this is Bowman Field. We're taking off here for today's journey. This public airport was established in 1919 as Kentucky's first commercial airport, and it's currently the oldest established continually operating commercial airport in North America. It was founded by Abram H. Bowman, and he was one of the nation, and he had a really big passion for all things aviation here, though he wanted to find this airport back in 1919. This airport's got quite the history for Bowman. The Spirit of St. Louis landed here in 1927 by Charles Limbaugh. He landed it here, viewed by 10,000 spectators during the 1930s and the Great Depression. Eastern Airlines and Trans World Airlines carried passengers and mail out of the field. But especially during World War II, this became one of the nation's most important training bases and was the nation's busiest airport for the World War II era. In fact, more than 1,600 recruits went under basic training here in the 3-month period. And the U.S. Army Air Force's for flight surgeons, medical technicians, and flight nurses also called it home. And Bowman Field was also a famous film site for the James Bond film Goldfinger. Was actually some of the scenes were filmed here. It was usually as a base for the flying circus of P. Galore. I'm not going to probably say it. I try to be kid friendly. But they did a lot of photography, hangars, aircraft, and etc. were done there in the fall of '63. There are some historic buildings here, but the most famous building here in Bowman is the Landmark Terminal, known as the Administration Building. It's built on the streamlined modern, and it was designed by two different firms. It was built in 1929. And that was also made of a lot of brick and stuff, but it's very famous. Currently today, Bowman is home to hundreds of privately owned aircraft, along with several commercial operations. And it's currently operated by the Louisville Regional Airport Authority, which also operates the international airport around here. We'll be meeting in the end of our journey. So that is going to be Bowman Field. A bit of a historical stuff about one of the local airports from around where I live. Let's go and take this off. Clear. And, who's operating that jet out of Bowman? So here it is. Let's go fly around the airport for a little bit. You could have got me killed, you know, whoever was flying the jet. So here's Bowman. Let's see if we can find the old terminal building. Oh, there's the old terminal building. I would love to see Jefferson work on this airport personally, because I know he's worked on Falcon Field, which is another historic airport. But I mean, personally, I would love to see Jefferson work on this airport. I mean, the airport has so much history with it. It's not nearly as historic as, let's say, Falcon Field with all the World War II stuff, but I think it would be great to like have several World War II planes. Here it is. This is the Bowman Field terminal. They actually modeled it. That don't even make sense. Louisville is got photogrammetry. So let's go ahead and visit the first waypoint. We're going to visit the Louisville truck plant. So it's great to have you guys here. I hope you guys have had a great weekend so far. I had a great weekend so far. I've been doing lots of virtual airline flights. And the virtual airline I'm joining is Firefly Air. I can't wait to do more Firefly Air stuff. What trucks are made here? Great question there to friend all. So they usually make the Ford F-150s are made here. They make the Ford F-150s made here, but they also make other vehicles too. But the Kentucky truck plant here, they make the Ford 250s, the Ford F-550 Super Duty trucks, the Ford Expedition, and the Lincoln Navigator are all made here at the Kentucky truck plant. It was opened in 1969, and the site is around 500 acres. In fact, Louisville's got two truck plants, because there's another one by the airport, and that one is the Louisville Assembly Plant, and that's a bit of a smaller one. Electric 150s, yeah. I mean, imagine back in the day, the electric 150. Yeah, the Ford F-150 is still one of the best-selling trucks. Down below here, this is St. Matthew's Mall. This is the mall. St. Matthew's is down over here. Here's the mall down there. So yes, it's a shop mall here in St. Matthew's. It's one of the bigger malls here in Louisville. And then to the right of it, that is the Oxmoor Center, another shopping mall. So right next to each other are two shopping malls. Like right next to each other. And I've been to both these shopping malls in my life. Once we get done visiting this truck, we'll be visiting Locust Grove. So this is the eastern side of Louisville. This is the east side of Louisville. If you notice, Louisville split to three. There's the west side and east side. And then there's Jefferson County. So let's play a bit of music. So the truck plant should be ahead of us. Yeah, it's a big manufacturing center right here. There's the truck plant. There's the truck. Yeah, electric 150s is a new passion. I completely agree. Ford F-150s. Here's an interesting fact about the 150 trucks. The F-Series has been one of the most popular sold vehicles for years, but the F-Series itself actually goes all the way back to 1948 by the F-100 series. And believe it or not, since 1977, the F-Series has remained the best-selling pickup truck line in the U.S. It has been the highest-selling vehicle overall since 1981. Yes, since the 80s, believe it or not. In fact, currently, over 40 million units of the F-model series trucks have been sold. Pretty insane. And they made a lot of some special models, too. And yes, there's a new one that was just unveiled earlier last year. It's the F-150 Lightning Electric. Hey, CIA Cowboy, good morning. Check out CIA Cowboy, another good friend of the channel. Check him out. CIA Cowboy's a good friend of mine. So we're touring the city of Louisville. So we're visiting the Kentucky truck plant. And here it is. Here's the truck plant in its full glory. There it is. There's the Kentucky truck plant. No problem, CIA Cowboy. Most large vehicles are high profit for U.S. makers. Yes. If you want to look at a trend that's very different from Europe, look at the cars Americans buy versus a lot of the cars European ones in Europe buy. You see the big difference. The U.S. likes bigger vehicles with more cargo and more room, whereas a lot of European ones want efficiency more than anything else. I bet if the look at that parking lot full of Toyota Chevy. I know, kind of an irony. So we're going to get to actually the first historic site we're talking about here today, and this is the historic Locust Grove. So this here is Locust Grove. Locust Grove is actually an 18th century farm site. It is a National Historic Landmark in in Jefferson County, Kentucky. It's owned by the Louisville Metro government, and it's a historic interpretive site by the Historic Locust Grove Incorporated. The main feature, however, of this property is a 1790 Georgian mansion that was the home of the Croghan family. And it was actually a gathering place for George Rogers Clark, the Lewis and Clark, and that was the Lewis Clark Expedition, and several U.S. presidents actually visited here. There's also a visitor center, a gift shop, museum, and meeting space. Dozens of African Americans were actually enslaved at the Locust House by the Croghans between 1790 and 1849, and at the peak of the operation, more than 40 enslaved people labored here. Now, the site was founded in 1790 by William Croghan and his wife Lucy. Now, the house and all the buildings were actually made by the enslaved African Americans, and they also planned and harvested the crops, cooked the meals, made the families clothing, washed the laundry, and were caretakers. Lucy Croghan was actually the sister of Brigadier General George Rogers Clark, who was actually the one who also founded the city, by the way. And he was actually a former surveying partner of William Croghan and William Clark of the Lewis and Clark Expedition. At the peak, it was nearly 700 acres in size. And a small, tracing back their way from the Pacific Ocean, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark arrived at Locust Grove to a homecoming where Lucy Clark Croghan and her family welcomed them back from the journey. And Locust Grove became the only residence still in existence currently west of the Appalachians to have sheltered Lewis and Clark. George Rogers Clark lived at the site in his final years from 1809 to 1908 here at the Locust Grove. In the winter of 1844, the enslaved African American Stephen Bishop, he actually produced a map of Mammoth Cave. And for guys who don't know about Mammoth Cave is the longest cave network in the world. It's further down the state, but he published a map for it. His map was published in 1845, and it remained the most complete and accurate map of the period until modern survey techniques were applied all the way in 1908. Which is pretty crazy to think about. This place is unique. It was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1986, one of the few surviving residents associated with George Rogers Clark. So that is a bit of the history of Locust Grove. What we're going to be flying over it pretty soon. So we're going to fly over the historic Locust Grove. Locust Grove somewhere down over here, but this place is very historic. Why is this not called Clarksville? Well, if you wonder why it's not called Clarksville, here's the thing. Clarksville, we're gonna be flying near Clarksville actually. Let me show you where Clarksville's at. Clarksville. No, wrong. Here. This whole area, this is Clarksville. It's across the river. Is Clarksville, named after Clark, George Rogers Clark. Now, Louisville, I'll get to Louisville's history in a sec once we fly over to Locust Grove. Because they named Louisville after King Louis XVI, one who helped America gain, who helped America's independence. hence the name Mammoth. Exactly, Mammoth Cave is huge. In fact, Mammoth Cave is like an all-day thing if you're really interested. So, Mammoth Cave tours, they do a lot of tours down here. In fact, a bit about Mammoth Cave, it's actually around 405 miles mapped, and there's still a lot more yet to be mapped of this place. And they often do lots of cave tours. They do tons of cave tours. They do different tour schedules. You can visit all the different areas of the caverns. I definitely want to go visit there at some point, even though I'm from the area. But I would love to visit Mammoth Cave. Very. Was King Louis the inspiration for the Kingsman song, Louis Louis? Good question. Good question, actually. Louis Louis, from what I know, Louis Louis, I just found that out. It's based on the tune El Loco Cha Cha. And apparently the story is about a first-person story of a Jamaican sailor returning to the island to see his lover. That's basically what the song is. It's not about King Louis. There. I think we see Locust Grove in the. Let's see. Oh, I think that might. Locust Grove might be down here. Locust Grove is probably somewhere among the houses. I think it's somewhere down here. Locust Grove is down over here. So Locust Grove is probably among down here. I think it's right here. There's Locust Grove, I believe. Yeah, Locust Grove is somewhere down here. So there it is. Let's go ahead and turn to the left. We just passed. Yeah, still a good song. Yeah, it's a real famous song. So, now let's talk about the city of Louisville. So let's talk about the city for a bit. This is my Louisville local city. Louisville, Kentucky. Largest city in the state of Kentucky. But it's not the capital, actually. The capital is actually Frankfort. But this city is the largest city in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, which is which I believe it is actually known as the Bluegrass State. The 15th state of the Union, the Bluegrass State. And it's the 29th most populous city in the U.S. The city was actually named after King Louis XVI of France. He was actually the last king of France before the fall of the monarchy, funnily enough. It was founded in 1778 by George Rogers Clark, making it one of the oldest cities west of the Appalachians. With the falls of the Ohio being the only major obstruction to river traffic in the Ohio River, it grew as a portage site. And it was also the founding city of the Louisville National Railroad, the L&N, which grew into a 6,000-mile system across 13 states. Today, the city is home to the legendary boxer Muhammad Ali, aka Louisville's most beloved son. And I kind of agree with this one too. It's home to the Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Fried Chicken is headquartered here, the University of Louisville and its Cardinals, go Cards, the Louisville Sluggers, and 3 of Kentucky's 6 Fortune 500 companies. Pretty cool thing as well. So Louisville definitely is a very well-known city in the U.S., but the history of this place actually is pretty cool about the history too of the place. So Louisville's history starts with the indigenous population, the Native Americans, obviously. So there's at least been continuous indigenous human occupation in the area from around 1000 BCE to roughly around 1650 CE, when the Beaver Wars that happened, or the French Iroquois War, resulted in the depopulation of much of the Ohio River region. The Iroquois maintained this area as a hunting ground by conquest, and apparently archaeologists have discovered there's been quite a few sites in the wetlands of Jefferson County. One of the most extensive finds was the McNeely Lake Cave, and this area is where Louisville International Airport is currently at right now. But European explorers actually entered Kentucky in the mid-18th century, but there was no real permanent Native American settlements. The account of the first European to visit the area was the French colonizer René Robert Caillard in 1669, but it's been pretty disputed. But the first modern people to actually visit the area was actually in 1769, when the legendary American pioneer Daniel Boone, he created a trail from North Carolina to Tennessee, and Boone spent the next 2 years exploring the state of Kentucky. In 1773, Captain Thomas Bullitt led the first exploring party into Jefferson County, and he surveyed the land on behalf of the Virginians, who had been awarded the land grants thanks to the French-Indian War. And James Herod built Fort Herod in Kentucky. However, the battles of the Native American tribes forced the American settlers to retreat. And eventually, Boone built the Wilderness Road, and it created the modern settlement. Then we talk about the modern history of Louisville. Colonel George Rogers Clark, who was part of the American Revolution, he actually settled here in modern-day Louisville in 1778 during the American Revolutionary War. He was conducting a campaign against the British, and he organized 150 soldiers and helped build a new settlement known as Louisville, and they arrived at the Falls of Ohio. And he built the new fort to protect from Native American lands, but moved out in the late 1780s. And then in 1803, Lewis and Clark organized the expedition across America in the town of Clarksville, which is to the west here. Oh, I'm going to take a break from this for a sec. So this airport here, this is Clark Regional. This here is my local airport. Bit of a background about this airport itself. Clark Regional was is actually a main public use airport. It's mainly used for general aviation. It's a reliever airport. Currently it has 2 FBOs, Aircraft Specials and Honecker Aviation as well. It's currently undergoing renovations to its runway to extend the runway to 7,000 feet from 5,500. So that's what's currently, there's 2 runways, one that's 5,500 feet, which is soon going to be 7,000 feet, and one that's about 4,000 feet of runway is this one. So that's kind of the runways. You usually see GA and business jets coming out of this airport. And this airport's been in operation since 1981. So, just a bit of background about the airport. Kentucky's a Commonwealth, one of 4 not as a state. Exactly. Commonwealth of Kentucky is actually a U.S. state. It's just officially called the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So, let's get back to the history here. So, Lewis and Clark actually made their organized here in Clarksville at the present Falls of Ohio, and Louisville actually was pretty important as it was actually one of the largest slave ports in the U.S. and African Americans who were enslaved here in Louisville worked in a variety of associated trades. It was also seen as a point of escape to a lot of the fugitive slaves to the north, because Indiana, which is where we're at right now, this is Indiana, is actually a free state. So Louisville became a very well-known thing about slavery, that's for sure. Then we get to the 1850s. So in the 1850s, Louisville was actually growing and vibrant, but it had some major issues, mainly with tensions with the Protestant Germans and the Catholic Irish, and it led to an event on August 6, 1855, known as Bloody Monday, resulting in 22 deaths. Then in 1861, the Civil War broke out, and during the Civil War, Louisville was a major stronghold of the Union forces. Kentucky was actually firmly in the Union, even though it was technically somewhat in the South. Kentucky stayed in the Union, and after Reconstruction, the returning Confederate veterans took control of the city, and it led to a similar jibe that the Louisville joined the Confederacy after the war was over, which makes no sense, but that's what it was. Then after the Civil War and all that, we get to the post-Reconstruction period. The first Kentucky Derby was held on May 17, 1875 at the Louisville Jockey Club track, which is later known as Churchill Downs. Gateway to the South, one of the other monikers Louisville is known for, comes from the large number of African Americans that moved to the city during the Great Migration of the 20th century. And in 1917, when the U.S. joined World War I, it was selected as the site of Camp Zachary Taylor, one of the country's largest World War I training camps, was here. In 1929, Louisville completed the Lockett Dam, the Falls in Ohio, and referred itself where the North Enterprise and Southern Hospitality meet. During that time in the 30s, there was also that infamous Great Flood, the Great Flood of the Ohio River, or the Great Flood of 37, which actually submerged 70% of Louisville. And they had to establish all sorts of flood walls to make sure this disaster never happens again. Then during the World War II era, it was a major area for factory and production. They built the Curtiss C-46 Commandos here. And of course, they often used Bowman Field as a training base, if you remember correctly. Then during the 1960s, 70s, Louisville, more people moved to the suburbs, which, I mean, is references to real life. In the 1980s, it had increased prosperity and revival, along with many different cultural showcases. In the 1990s and on, it's experienced residential, tourism, and retail growth. So that's a bit about the history of Louisville. As you can tell, this city has a lot of history, and people in Louisville is quite proud of it. Got quite a bit of a storied history to itself. So we're going to go ahead and descend a little bit. We're going to fly over Indiana University Southeast, the college that I went to, personally. I'm going to take a break for a bit. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys appreciated this as well. First of all, Kentucky is a state. It's just officially called the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Oh yeah, one more thing about Louisville's residents too. There are some pretty famous residents in the city. Thomas Edison actually was a resident of the city. He actually lived a few years here in Louisville. In fact, there's still one of his houses here. Thomas Edison was a resident here. There's quite a few other ones too. There is also the first Jewish Supreme Court Justice, Louis Brandeis. Obviously Muhammad Ali. There's also Diane Sawyer, a very well-known newscaster. Victor Mature, who is known as a 50s movie star. Tom Cruise was a resident, one of the world's highest paid actors. Jennifer Lawrence and Sean Young, both actresses. So here it is, Indiana University Southeast. There it is. So this is IU Southeast here, my local college that I went to. It's a branch of Indiana University, but this one here is here. IU Southeast was actually founded during the 1940s, but expanded here to this location in the 1970s. And they offer all sorts of different programs and stuff here. So this is definitely a place I'm very familiar with. So from here, we'll be visiting to the town of New Albany. Let's go ahead and talk about the rest of its history. Let's talk about the rest of the stuff that Louisville's known for. Well, the seascape. Louisville's seascape is quite a unique one. We also have the downtown business district, which is south, and it's home to some of the big companies. And 12 of the 15 tallest buildings here in Kentucky are located here. There's also the industrial district in the suburban area east of the city. It's the industrial district, which is where the Kentucky truck plant is located. However, there's something unique about it. If you ever fly over old Louisville, you see some of the largest preservation of Victorian homes in the U.S. And the third largest district contains such of these things in the U.S. And for guys who don't know, Victorian style basically was originated in Great Britain and spread to the Commonwealth in the U.S. There's also lots of modern skyscrapers too, as well. The Ohio River is a natural boundary between, if I remember correct, we're in the tri-state area, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. Correct. Yep. Yeah, we're technically in the tri-state area of Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio. Well, technically, that would be where Cincinnati's at. Is Cincinnati? Yes, you are probably correct. And there's also been divided into three sides of town: West End, South End, and East End. So, the economy of Louisville is actually been growing the last couple of years. It's not really growing as much as national, but it's still growing quite a bit. Owns dozens of companies around the U.S. However, since the earliest days, there's one thing that pinned the local economy, and that is shipping cargo. Even to this day, it's still a huge deal. Louisville's strategic position in the Falls of Ohio allowed it a possible transfer location for cargo. The Louisville-Portland Canal and the Louisville Natural Railroads were important links in water and rail. And today, the presence of the UPS Worldport at Louisville International, making Louisville one of the busiest places for cargo traffic in the world this year. Oh yeah, and Louisville's also the 7th largest inland port in the U.S. too, so it's still huge as well. Shipping's always been big. Outside of that, manufacturing is a big deal with 2 Ford Motor Company plants, and also the main factory of General Electric appliances. It's also the center of American whiskey, and especially bourbon. About 1/3 of all the bourbon whiskey stuff comes from Louisville, the Bourbon Trail. And I definitely recommend you checking out the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, because if you love alcohol and like whiskey and all that, you're going to really like the Bourbon Trail. And finally, the last thing is going to be culture. So Louisville's home to many cultural events. Obviously, by far the most well-known is the Kentucky Derby Festival, which starts with the largest fireworks display in North America, the Thunder of Louisville. and ends with the Great Kentucky Derby, one of the great cultural events here in the United States. There's also tons of concerts, Lord Castle Festival. There's the Kentucky State Fair, which is the main state fair for Kentucky. There's also lots of indie scenes with thriving indie music. One of the bands is My Morning Jacket. And of course, Louisville's home to tons of museums. There's a whole road dedicated to the Museum Row. It contains the Kentucky Science Center, the Fraser History Museum, Louisville Slugger, and Muhammad Ali Center. It's home to the famous Belle of Louisville steamboat. Louisville's got rich culture in sports. College sports rule Louisville. Collegiate sports have been historically very popular. Particularly college basketball, because we're in Kentucky. In fact, Indiana and Kentucky are both absolutely nuts for college basketball. And the Louisville Cardinals have been one of the most popular college basketball teams for years. So yeah, that is the culture of Louisville. To a T. Yeah, independent and original. Exactly. Finally, we're going to be heading to New Albany. So this is New Albany, Indiana. The county seat, this is Floyd County, Indiana. This is actually where I was born. It was founded in July 1813 when 3 brothers from New York came here to the Falls of Ohio. So the main street here, this includes Culberson Mansion. So Culberson Mansion was founded here. Take a picture. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of New Albany. It's home to the famous Scribner Mansion. The Culberson Mansion is still well known as an Indiana landmark. And I've been to it when I was a young kid. So definitely a place I know very, very well. Hey, Sky Command. Sup, Sky Command, thank you so much for coming here today. Let me give Sky Command a shout out. Thank you so much. Sky Command is really cool. Like me, he brings a lot of really positive energy. Definitely love to be around him. Yo, guys, check out Sky Command, a good friend of mine in the channel. So I know quite a few landmarks. We're flying over Louisville. We're currently in New Albany. So there's the Sherman-Minton Bridge, the double-deck bridge. Here's the YMCA Center here. There's quite a few restaurants here. Further ahead, what was New Albany High School. Fun fact about New Albany High School. Edwin Hubble worked as a faculty there, and he was the namesake of the Hubble telescope as well. It's also home to other players, including Buzzy Zoller, well-known golfer, and Romeo Langford, who is now currently in the NBA right now. And Billy Herman also was here too, MLB Hall of Famer. So yeah, some pretty well-known people from here. We just flew by the Culberson. So yeah, I'm flying over my local area. Okay. Here's one of the old railroad bridges, and right here, guys, we should be seeing the canal. But man, it's a beautiful day out here in Louisville. What a beautiful day out here. You guys get to see the whole Ohio River. All this area is got photogrammetry, which is really nice. It's just beautiful. So let's go talk about the Falls of Ohio State Park. This state park was in Indiana. It's on the banks of the Ohio. Now, this state park was often the famous point of like Lewis and Clark visiting the Ohio the state park. But the thing that makes this park well known is the exposed fossil beds. They are from limestone, dated all the way back to the Devonian, which is around 400 million years ago. And they're the main feature of the park, attracting 160,000 visitors annually. And there's also an interpretive center too, that's open to the public. So definitely very well known. But I hope you're doing great, Sky Command. I really appreciate you coming by. I hope you guys are actually liking this stream. If you guys like it, don't be afraid to give me a follow. I do have a Discord as well, if you guys are interested in joining my Discord. So this here is the Falls of the Ohio State Park. There's also his home site located here for this George Rogers Park. This here is the Falls of Ohio site, right here. In this whole area over here, this is Clarksville. All this here is Clarksville, Indiana. Now that's what's named after George Rogers Park. And here's downtown Louisville, the skyline. So let's visit Museum Row. I'm gonna start descending here. If I need to, I can always land, get more fuel. So here it is, guys. We're in Louisville, or Louisville, or Louisville. Basically, there's many ways you can pronounce it. Just don't call it Louisville, like Murph. Don't be an Egypt and call it Louisville. There is a good chance someone will hit you in a Louisville Slugger baseball bat. Now, welcome to my home city here in Louisville. So there's one particular area we definitely want to check out here in the city. Hey, back Country Pilot Ryan with the follow. Thank you so much. So guys, welcome to Museum Row. So this here, all of this is Museum Row. So let's start with the first place in Museum Row we're visiting today. And this one may just be one of the most iconic landmarks in the entire city. Let's go ahead and pause. And let's circle this one around. Yeah, this here is a world-famous Louisville landmark, and something I've actually known very well. This is the Louisville Slugger Museum. The Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory is actually here in Museum Row. This legendary place was founded in 1996, the current location. It is, in this museum here, showcases the history of the Louisville Slugger baseball bats in baseball and American history. And currently also has temporary exhibits of more pop culture focus, including those of other museums and research centers. This factory here is the fourth location where the bats have been made. The original was actually in South First Street. And there was a family legend, actually, that J.A. Bud Hillrick made the bat for the Louisville Eclipse star, Pete Browning, in 1884. After Browning originally broke his bat, Hillrich made him a new bat and went 3 for 3. 3 hits with the bat, and a legend was born. The factory itself then moved from South Preston and Fraser Street to the corner where they stayed until 1974, and then they moved the new sluggers from Jeffersonville, Indiana, back home to Louisville, thankfully. And this museum went through a lot of renovations currently, and there's currently still a renovation going on today. But the museum's visited quite a few other major sports teams and all that. Some of the attractions here include the world's largest baseball bat, which is actually right here. This is the world's largest baseball bat, guys. 120 feet tall and weighing 68,000 pounds, made of steel. And it's a Guinness World Record, too. There's the signature wall, displaying signatures of every single player who signed a contract with Louisville Slugger, interactive exhibits, and of course, the factory tour. Definitely a place you really want to visit. There's also the bat vault as well, where we get to look at all the Louisville Slugger bat models, batting cages, and a whole museum store. And there's a bunch of museum exhibits too, like statues of famous baseball players. You get to hold a piece of history. You get to hold a game-used bat from Hall of Fame players like Roof, Johnny Bench, and King Griffey Jr. And you get to see all the bat-making stuff, too. And, of course, the factory tour, you have 5 stops at each, and the tours last 50 minutes, 30 minutes, and you get to see how the famous bats are made. Some of this, and back in the old days, they used to make all the baseball bats by hand. But now they do a lot with computers, but there is still stuff they can do by hand. And after the end of every tour, all the guests receive a mini bat as well. Pretty cool baseball museum, and absolutely, if you love baseball, this is definitely a place you should definitely go. Definitely take a look at the good old Louisville Slugger baseball bat factory. It's a huge deal here. And then we got another museum. Now, turning this way, we have another museum. This is the Fraser History Museum. Another very well-known museum here is the Fraser History Museum. Now, Fraser History Museum, this museum here was founded in 2004. It once was a museum of historical arms and armor, but it has since been much more into regional, national, international history. It currently has one of the largest collection of toy soldiers in the world. And there's now subjects of other permanent exhibitions, including the historic arms, bourbon whiskey, and the Louisville Park Expedition were all featured here. In 2018, the Fraser History Museum became the starting point of the famed Kentucky Bourbon Trail, which takes you to all of the Bourbon Trail stuff in the state of Kentucky. I've been to this museum. It's actually a really nice museum, too. You got all the different layouts, and you got all the different floors, like historical arms. One of the most well-known historical pieces was a 1908 Holland & Holland double rifle, and that was actually belonging to none other than Theodore Roosevelt. Other notable stuff included here included an arrest warrant for Mary Todd Lincoln, the First Lady of Abraham Lincoln, the Boone Family Bible, and an oil painting of Geronimo by Elridge A.R. Burbank, the only artist that the Apache resident leader ever sent. And they also got lots of other exhibits, too, which is pretty cool. So that is the Fraser History Museum here in Louisville. Next, we're going to visit another iconic museum. Model. I'm going too fast. Right here. Let's go right here for a little bit. So this is actually one of the newest museums here you find here. One of the newer museums is this one right here. So this here is the Muhammad Ali Center. This center is it's all dedicated to Louisville's favorite child, Muhammad Ali. It was founded in 2005 by this place here is everything you want to know about the Muhammad Ali. You can actually find here. I've been here myself quite a few times. It's actually 6 stories. This culture center features exhibitions regarding the 6 core principles of Muhammad Ali, including confidence, conviction, dedication, giving, respect, and spirituality. This center also features a mock boxing ring, which is recreated based on his training camp at Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. There's also a 2-level pavilion featuring all his boxing memorabilia and history. Then there's a large projector film, which displays the film The Greatest, which is all about the life of Muhammad Ali. And of course, there's also booths where visitors can actually see some of his greatest fights on the terminals, which I think is a really cool place, and I definitely like it as well. Oh yeah, one more thing too. Let me go right here. So there's actually something really cool. See this here? This is one of the these murals. These are actually made of exterior wire panels, and they actually show the images of Muhammad Ali's boxing, which I think is a really cool touch. Which is a really cool touch for the place. Let me show you. This is what I'm talking about right here. So this shows Muhammad Ali doing his punches. Now the story of Muhammad Ali, who is one of Louisville's most famous people, he was actually born not as Muhammad Ali, but as Cassius Clay. Born on January 17, 1942. He began training as a boxer at the age of 12. And he won a light heavyweight division gold medal at the 1960 Olympics. He converted to Islam after 1961, and he won the World Heavyweight Championship from Sonny Liston in a massive upset. And remained one of the most controversial fights in the sport's history. Of course, everyone knew that Muhammad Ali opposed the Vietnam War, and made him very well known for the 1960s counterculture stuff as well. He also fought in many other boxing matches, not just with the one Sonny Liston, but also Joe Fraser, Smoking Joe Fraser in the fight of the century, the Thrilla in Manila between him and Joe Fraser, and his fight against George Foreman in the Rumble of the Jungle. He became truly one of the great boxers. He's well known for his smack talk and outlandish persona, and that's what gave him such a great personality. But in the later years, he actually was diagnosed for Parkinson's syndrome, which some speculate because of his boxing injuries. But even then, he still became a very well-known public figure. And he passed away tragically on June 3rd, 2016, in Scottsdale, Arizona. But he was truly a legendary boxer himself. Definitely very famous here. And that's why he is among Louisville's most beloved citizens. So yeah, that is a bit about Muhammad Ali Center and about Muhammad Ali himself, actually. I'll give you a bit of a background about who the boxer is. Oh, I think I know what I found here. So, this here, guys. See this ship here? This is actually the Belle of Wool. I forgot to make a note about the Belle of Wool. Actually, okay, I got it looked up. I forgot to do the notes for the Belle of Wool. But this steamboat here is actually the most widely traveled steamboat in American history. This steamboat here was actually built in 1914. It was built by Reese James Stunn, owned by the city of Louisville. And she originally operated as a passenger ferry between Memphis and West Memphis, Arkansas. and she also hauled cargo, lumber, and grain. And she came to Louisville in 1931, and she was restored back in the 1960s, and she became known as the Belle of Louisville since, and still currently the oldest river steamboat in operation in the U.S. And it's currently now used as a showboat still. And this boat is actually now over 100 years old. So quite an iconic boat. Is there a preferred type to make Louisville bats? Yes, ash. Ash is what they made. Louisville sluggers are usually made of ash. And the reason they made bats out of ash was because ash was kind of durable. It's not as brittle as, let's say, ash is what they use for the baseball bats. And the reason they use ash is because hickory used to be a thing, but it fell in disfavor due to weight. Ash was still light, but still durable enough. But in most recent years, maple actually became more popular. Was maple. And the reason why ash may not be lasting so long is because of the emerald ash borer, which was a beetle imported from Asia accidentally, and it's killed one of 50 million trees of ash. So that's why they use, yes, very much so. Actually, before we do this, let me go back. Okay, this place here. This is the Gull House. This is actually the largest hotel in the state of Kentucky, and it's a very historic hotel. It's named after the original Gull House. It's the city's only hotel in the Ohio River. It's the official hotel of the Kentucky, for Churchill Downs, the Derby, the Kentucky Oaks, the Derby Festival, and the Yum Center. Donald Trump actually visited here when he was president during the AMVET's 75th National Convention. So there's the Gull House as well. And then this place here. So this here is the Kfc Yum Center. Now this area here, this is absolutely the premier sporting venue of the city. It's the city's premier sporting venue. Right here is the Yum Center. So this is the Kfc Yum Center. This is the premier sporting venue of the entire city. Now, this arena was opened back in 2010, October 10th. The primary tenants are the Louisville men and women's basketball programs. And this is a huge arena, by the way. They seat 22,000 fans. This is actually the largest for a venue primarily designed for basketball. And in terms of college basketball, it is the second largest arena to host college basketball. The only one larger is the Carrier, though, but that one was also used for football. The current attendance record is 22,815, established in March 9th, 2013 against Notre Dame basketball. But I've seen pictures inside. It is huge. It's a huge arena. Huge arena. Hard to believe this now. They also make aluminum bats. Yes, they do make aluminum bats as well. And then we'll be visiting Slugger Field, the minor league baseball stadium of the Bats, home in 2000. 13,131 fans currently make their home here, and you can actually get seats that see the state of Indiana and the Ohio River. So this is Louisville Slugger. We're going to make a landing here at Slugger Field. So I appreciate you guys all being here for today. Not bad. So this is Slugger Field, minor league ballpark. So here it is, there's Slugger Field. And now we're going to go down to Butchertown. We're going to be paying a visit to the site that would be Lynn Family Stadium. This is actually Louisville's newest sporting venue. Home to Louisville's two minor league soccer teams, Louisville City Football Club and Racing Louisville FC. Open in 2020. It has 11,700 seats permanently, but it can span up to 15,304 spectators. And the playing surface is Bermuda grass with an underhand element to keep the grass warm. So here it is. Here's where Lynn Family Stadium is currently built, right over here. Is where Lynn Family Stadium is currently at right now. All this. We'll be visiting Cane Hill Cemetery. Here's Cave Hill Cemetery, so I'm going to go ahead and turn left. Or, turn right, obviously. And we're going to go down and visit the University of Louisville Hotel. The U of L Hospital. Louisville's well known for a lot of its hospitals. There's Norton Hospital, Children's Hospital, there's the U of L Hospital as well. U of L is known for its medical program, so that's something a lot of people don't really realize. So this building here, see that building up here? The circle round building? That is actually the tallest building in the city. It's the 400 West Market skyscraper, the tallest building in the city, at around 549 feet. It was built in 1990 for $100 million. This here is this is the Kentucky International Exposition Center. It's the International Convention Center here. This is where they host a lot of the events and stuff are held here. We get back to downtown. So you definitely see lots of downtown districts and buildings and all that are located here. And it's now currently known as the Mercer Building. So afterwards, we're going to visit one of the more famous hotels here in Louisville. Yes, we're visiting the famed Brown Hotel. We should be seeing the Brown Hotel pretty quickly. Oh, there it is. There it is, guys. The world-famous Brown Hotel, located here in Louisville. Right here. This is the Brown Hotel. World famous here in Louisville. It is a historic, it's 16 stories high. Now, the Brown Hotel has got quite the interesting history, actually. So, the Brown Hotel is known for quite a few things. First, it is actually where the famous hot brown was invented here. It was originally reported to be invented here in 1926 when the hotel chef Fred K. Schmidt introduced the sandwich, which consists of an open-faced turkey sandwich with bacon and a delicate Monterey sauce, and it became very popular with the locals and visitors alike. The room it's currently containing 294 rooms and 24,000 feet of meeting space. Also featuring 3 restaurants and a fitness center. And there's some very famous people who visited this hotel. David Lloyd George, who used to be the Prime Minister of the UK. He was actually the first person to visit the guest register here. And what about Queen Maria of Romania, who was the last queen of Romania and was the wife of King Ferdinand I of Romania, visited here? The famous soprano Lily Pons of the late 20s through the 70s. She actually was allowed to bring her pet lion here, and it roamed free in her room. Victor Mature was an elevator operator at the hotel before becoming famous. There's also James Winkfield, who was a black jockey who won 2 derbies. He was famously refused to be entered in 1961 through the front door. And other celebrities visited here to the hotel. The Duke of Windsor, Harry Truman visited the hotel. Elizabeth Taylor, very famous British American actress. Joan Crawford, Gene Autry, Eva Marie Saint, and Muhammad Ali all stayed here too. So, very famous hotel. Thankfully, it's been modernizing ever since. So yeah, this is a very well-known hotel. Very famous in the city of Louisville. Okay. So from here, we're going to fly over old Louisville. I'm going to keep it low altitude, and let's see if we can find any of the old houses. This here is Spalding University, one of the smaller universities here in Louisville. There's Spalding. I hope you guys are liking this so far. Here's going to be a really cool place to get to visit. So we're actually going to one of the more historic residences. Right here. There it is. We found our next place. This is the Conrad Caldwell house. Now, this peculiar house was actually built in 1893 by Arthur Loomis for Theophile Conrad and his wife Mary. It was after Conrad died in 1905, William E. Caldwell bought it and became their home for 35 years. The place was well known for its Richardson Romanesque house style, made of Bedford, Indiana limestone, and it cost at least $35,000 to actually build this house. As if you want to know how much money that is currently in 2021, this house would be around at least $1 million. It's part of the St. Jamesville Bravo Historic District. It's featured corner towers and turrets. It featured elaborately carved fireplaces, stained glass windows, high ceilings in the parlor and dining rooms, and carved arch fretwork leading to all those rooms. It's a very historic area as well. And then the next place we're visiting is going to be the University of Louisville, actually. U of L, baby. So, University of Louisville, public research university. Here it is, U of L. We're not going to be visiting here just yet. So this here is University of Louisville, U of L. So this university was founded in 1798 as the first city-owned university in the U.S. and is part of a Kentucky State University system. U of L is absolutely famous for its medical program, as it was the one who founded the first artificial heart transplant, and it was credited for funding the ambulance. It also did hand transplantation and the first blood banks in the country. U of L is known as a doctoral university with very high research, but it's also well known for other stuff, including the JV School of Engineering, the Louis Brandeis School of Law, and the College of Business. U of L is also known for its athletic programs, known as the Cardinals. Since 2005, they've made appearances in basketball for the Final Four, the BCS Championship game in 2007 being the Orange Bowl and Sugar Bowl, and it made the College Baseball World Series in 2007, 2013, 2014, 2017, and 2019. Louisville's been pretty successful in athletics for the past last 2 decades, thanks to some really good athletic directors and such. Louisville basketball is currently a historic powerhouse, winning 2 national championships. Originally, they were supposed to have 3, but 2013 was vacated. But Louisville basketball has been a major national power for years. Football's on the rise in recent years. And then also other Cardinals teams. Most recently, the women's team under Jeff Waltz have been very successful. And so is soccer, too. So that's what the University of Louisville is truly well known for, is U of L. So you can definitely see some of the stuff here. So we can see there's the softball field, the women's track team. This is, I believe, the field hockey team is located here. There's like planetarium. There's admissions centers and all that located here. But we're going to visit the football stadium in Churchill Downs later. We're actually going to take a little detour. We're going to head this way, actually. So we're going to visit one of the private high schools here, St. Xavier's, St. X, which was actually founded all the way back in 1864 by B.R. Paul Van Gueren. St. X is the only school in Kentucky to receive the Blue Ribbon Excellence 4 times. And in Kentucky, they're one of the most famous and successful athletic programs in the entire state, winning 172 boys state championships across 13 sports, particularly in football, where their rivalry with Trinity High School is the most attended high school, regular high school game in the country. 35,000 fans actually attend it. That doesn't seem crazy to think about, but think about it. 35,000 people to attend a high school game is nuts. Oh yeah, and one more thing. St. X is known for quite a few alumni. They include Scott Paget, Paul Bird, Tom Cruise actually attended school before graduating. He transferred before he graduated. Victor Ventura was a film star. And current Kentucky Attorney General Jack Conway actually all made school appearances here at St. X. And St. X is right here. There's St. X. Then, right next to this is a college university. It's a private one. This is Bellarmine. It's a private Catholic university established in 1950 by Archbishop John A. Floresh. It has over 3,000 students currently, and it's a 135-acre campus. And it's home to extracurricular activities to its students as well. So there's Bellarmine right over here. Bellarmine Knights. So we're going to continue straight. We're going to fly over to the Louisville Zoo, one of the local zoo in the area. Oh yeah, one more thing, guys. We actually saw where we started here. Here's Bowman. Here's good old Bowman Field, located over here. So the next place we're headed is the Appliance Park, GE Appliance Park, which is over here. There it is. This is where they make the General Electric appliances are made here. This industrial park has over 7,100 employees. And this is where they make a lot of the cheap appliances that you see in your house potentially in the US is pretty much made here, by the way. So I hope you guys are doing well. I guess after this, I'll probably work on more of the Firefly Air stuff. I mean, I can't believe there's so many people in the airline. There's 95 people in the airline already. 95 people. It's crazy how many people join that airline. It's nuts. So here's the General Electric Appliance Park. Pretty big area, if you ask me. Then from here we're going to turn right. So from here, we're going to be visiting the Louisville Ford Assembly Plant. This is where they make the Ford Explorer. I think it's the Ford Explorer and the Lincoln Corsair are made in this airport. This is the... And here's Sanford. Big, and it's an international airport. Even though there's no international flights, bit of an interesting fact, even though there's not an international flight from here, there's still border and customs officials here because UPS flies here so much. So after we get past the Louisville Ford Assembly Plant, we're going to be making our way to one of the more spooky places in North America. We're going to visit Waverly Hills Sanatorium. So, there's been some MFS add-on stuff, just been recently revealed the last couple of days. So PMG finally revealed the pricing for the 737. It's coming. It's actually coming tomorrow. And if you get it in the opening day, you can get this for $70 US. However, once the 600 gets released, it would go up to $75. So that's not too bad about the price. I'm definitely gonna get it tomorrow, and hopefully do some Firefly air flights. Then yesterday also came out the Triliner. The B&2 Triliner's out as well, which seems pretty cool. And of course, I know everyone's been talking about the Milviz 310. That is, many people say that might just be one of the best GA planes for the sim. I know everyone seems to really, really like it. I still need to get the BA-146 still. I still need to get my hands on that soon, as that's a plane I've been trying to get around as well. I'm just waiting for it to be on Sim Market, so because Sim Market will actually, compared to, is like around 10, maybe even some prices be $15 cheaper than getting it on Just Flight's website. So I'm waiting patiently for it. Then there's the Mad Dog MDA-2. That plane is a very cool one. Yes, I know the pricing puts me off of it, but I mean everything else seems actually pretty good on it. It seems really solid. And I know that some people think, I know it's expensive, but the MDA-2 is still a solid jetliner. It's still better than most of the jetliners coming out, so there is that too. So we'll be approaching on Waverly Hills Sanatorium. This sanatorium was actually opened in 1910 as a two-story hospital to accommodate tuberculosis patients. You see, it needed to be open because this area suffered a big tuberculosis plague going on. It was the White Plague, and they needed the construction of the new hospital. It closed in 1961 due to the antibiotic drug streptomycin, so it didn't have much of a hospital. Originally, there were plans to turn this thing into a hotel, but that's no longer the case. Currently, there's some business structure about this sanatorium. There was quite a few expansions to it, including a prison, but that never actually happened. Originally, they were building the world's tallest statue of Jesus on the site, but that never came around. There was also a tunnel that was built for the entrance and exit for the workers. And apparently they built the tunnel in order to lower the death rates and increase morale. And the sanatorium itself was even used to host the last show of the touring music festival Sounds of the Underground in 2007. Currently, the sanatorium is now owned by Charlie and Tina Matley. but it especially got more famous in pop culture though, because the Sanatorium was was popularized on the show Ghost Hunters, a paranormal reality TV series on Sci-Fi, and it was being one of the most haunted hospitals in the eastern United States. It was featured in other series, including Scariest Places on Earth and more. It was also mentioned in the show Supernatural in season 11-23. And it was visited by many YouTubers, including Sam and Colby, as well as the Sanatorium. But definitely a very haunted place. Hey Tarnish, I'm doing quite well, Tarnish Mothman. I'm doing well. I'm touring the city of Louisville on Microsoft Flight Sim. We're heading towards Waverly Hills Sanatorium. It's the very spooky former hospital. So we're gonna check out the sanatorium, and then afterwards we're gonna be heading back to Churchill Downs. After it. So I'm nearly done with the flight. No worries. I hope you're doing great yourself, Tarnish. So the sanatorium is actually over in this area. There is the famous sanatorium right here. And there is the sanatorium right here. Right here is the sanatorium. Sanatoriums are over here. So we're gonna go ahead and turn back around and I'll join you soon. No worries, Tarsh. I would appreciate it. Wasn't expecting anyone to fly with me today, but I appreciate it. Now, mind you, I'm not going to be the fastest thing. I'm going to be pretty slow. maybe I'm hoping to start some Firefly air flights on my stream. Probably on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing my first Firefly air stream. I think I'm going to focus more on that. I don't know what to do with the city tours. Maybe I put it on hold for a little bit, maybe. I don't know, depending on how I feel about this. So let's visit Churchill Downs for a bit. This is an absolutely famous facility here. Very famous facility here. Definitely one of the great icons of Louisville. It's definitely Louisville's most famous sporting venue. So the history of the Churchill Downs was established in 1885. It was named for Samuel Churchill. It's a horse racing complex at Central Avenue. This event, currently this jockey club is about 80 acres. It had filled a void in Louisville by closing down the two earlier race courses. The location actually worked well because it was around the Louisville National Railroad tracks, allowing for easy transport. As well, it features many different facilities, most famously, two spires above the grandstands, the most iconic architectural feature of the facility. Those were designed by architect Joseph Valdez and built 1895, still here today. Currently, it now covers 147 acres. Now, usually 50,000 people see it in Derby, but on Derby Day, which is yesterday, you can reach over 150,000 people watch Derby. The track is around a mile in circumference and is 79 to 80 feet wide with a 120-foot section for the starting gate. The track is around 7/8 of a mile in circumference and 80 feet wide. There's also the stables as well. So that's where they keep all the horses. In addition to the track, clubhouse, and stables, which is here, it also contains a museum here as well, known as the Kentucky Derby Museum. I've been in this one too. This museum focuses on the history of the Derby and Churchill Downs and contains a number of exhibits exploring the training and racing of thoroughbreds. It has a 360-degree cinema, and it opens year-round, by the way. And it features many different championship trophies of some famous horses. And these are, but currently they're still working on getting 10 more missing trophies of several winners of the Derby, including War Emblem in 2002, Ferdinand in 1986, and decidedly in 1962. And there's even a cemetery for, and they're here too, including Dust Commander, Swaps, and Sahela. All those were Derby winners, by the way. Pretty cool stuff. And finally, let's talk about the Derby itself. So the Kentucky Derby is a world famous horse racing event in the year. It's almost always hosted on the first Saturday in May, capping off the 2-week-long Derby Festival. It's a stakes race, and it was the first leg of the Triple Crown, followed by Preakness and Belmont. Preakness in Baltimore, and Belmont is located in Bowman Park, New York. Of the 3 Triple Crown races, the Kentucky Derby has been the distinction of running uninterrupted since its inaugural race. As yes, the race was scheduled in 2020 due to COVID, but it's still not been uninterrupted. Now, the Triple Crown is when the horses win all 3 races in the Kentucky Derby, Preakness, and Belmont. And the Kentucky Derby rates first in all of North America in horse races, and surpasses the attendance numbers of all the other stakes races as well. It was first raced in May 17, 1875. The history goes all the way back to Meriwether Lewis Clark Jr., the founder of the Louisville Jockey Club, the grandson of William Clark. And he returned from Europe and he wanted to form his own racing club, which he did. And thoroughbreds sent their best horses in the state of Kentucky to compete in the races, and it led to Derby being extremely popular. And it's been broadcasted all around the world on WHS and around the country, and even the world, potentially. There's quite a few traditions, including the mint julep, an ice drink consisting of bourbon, mint, and sugar syrup as the beverage. There's also burgoo, a very famous stew. There's the Enfield, which is here full of admission prices. There's currently a Jumbotron currently available there. And of course, there's several records. The fastest speed record for 1.25 miles was done by Secretariat, a world famous Secretariat racehorse. In 1973, he went around it in 1 minute and 59 seconds. Pretty crazy. And the most recent winner of the Kentucky Derby was yesterday. Viperstrike made a comeback, and he had one of the most incredible races I've ever seen. Viper, this is 2K4HD, production by Flight 600 knots. Oh boy. Yeah, permission grant. Let's go ahead and let's explore Churchill Downs a little bit more. Let's see if we can make a land here in Churchill. So this here is Churchill Downs, guys. World famous race course. Here it is, guys. This is Churchill Downs. Let's take a closer look. This is Churchill. So let's fly around the complex for a little bit. So this is Churchill Downs. So let's fly through the complex first. I know there's quite a bit of area. So this over here is where the museum is located. This is the Kentucky Derby Museum. Is located over here. All this is museum area. Now, this is where the main entrance. Here's the world famous two spires. This is where the famous logo is. So here's the track. Horses go make the first turn. Mind you, the horses are racing near full speed here too. Around the turn. Then there's that big old Jumbotron they installed a couple of years ago. Horses marching straight. There's also a lot of the stables. There's some of the stables are located here. There's the stables. They keep the horses. The infield's to our left. They make the turn. Now, the Kentucky Derby is often called the most exciting 2 minutes of sports. And to be fair, I can understand why. There's been tons of close races in this. And finally, to the finish line. And that's it. That is Churchill Downs for you. Go ahead and climb. Go ahead. Let me go ahead and take a picture before we get going. Now we only got a few more places we're going to be visiting. We only actually got a few more places to visit. At the world famous Churchill Downs. Hey Harley, oh, just for Harley Davidson, good to see you here. Didn't realize it was you. Okay, so now we're going to turn left. And now we're going to visit another place in Louisville. We're going to visit Cardinals Stadium, home of the Louisville Cardinals football program. Now, this stadium was actually opened in 1998. It's the home of the Louisville Cardinals. Currently now 61,000 thanks to recent renovations. In the north end of the stadium is the Howard Chandler football complex, which is located right here. Yeah, and so here is the U of L Stadium. was pretty nice as well. I've been to it a couple years ago. Got me my Louisville football jersey. Now currently this area is closed off and now is hosted 10,000 more seats. There's also a statue of Johnny Unitas, one of U of L's greatest football players to come out of the University of Louisville. And then just last year, later last year, like in October, the team retired their newest number, hosted by Louisville's only Heisman-winning quarterback, and NFL superstar Lamar Jackson. And yes, I got to see Lamar Jackson. Let me tell you, the dude is an actual freak of talent. Lamar Jackson he's a stupidly talented quarterback. And I still can't believe that his talent, he fell all the way to 32 to the Ravens. Pretty crazy. Then we have the Kentucky Exposition Center right here. Here's the Exposition Center as well. It's actually the 6th largest facility in the U.S. of its type, with over 1,300,000 square feet. It hosts a number of events like the Kentucky State Fair, the North American International Livestock Exposition, and the National Farm Machinery Show has been hosted here. It's also where Freedom Hall is located, the old arena for U of L basketball. This here is now been since torn down, but this here used to be Cardinal Stadium, actually. It wasn't just the home of U of L football, it was also the home of the old Louisville Redbirds, which is now the Bats. They used to play here, actually. Now, down here, this here used to be very important arena. But that place is actually now Freedom Hall. This place, let me go down to a lower altitude. But the next is Freedom Hall. This used to be the old arena for the U of L basketball program before they moved to the Yum Center in 2010. It has a capacity of around 18,000 people, and they filled the crap out of the place. Louisville always had historically great attendance at Freedom Hall, and U of L has won over 600 games. So there is good old Freedom Hall. It's a very old and very historic arena. Currently, thankfully, it's still now being used as a basketball arena, the way it should. It's now currently used by Bellarmine University, along with hosting concerts, horse shows, conventions, and basketball games are still held here in Freedom Hall. I'm glad to see this old arena still being used. Oh yeah, and I see you, Tarnished. You're there in the. I don't have the F-35, unfortunately. I'm not made of gold, so I don't have tons of money. So I don't have the F-35, unfortunately. So before we go, there's one more place we're visiting. Before we make our landing here, this is Kentucky Kingdom, the amusement park here in Louisville. We see quite a few of the rides. I see Lightning Run, one of these smaller coasters here. There's the Hurricane Bay and water park. Mile High Falls. And here's what was once Twisted Sister, but this is now Storm Chaser, an RMC roller coaster. And finally, we made it here to the airport, guys. So this is Kentucky International Airport, Muhammad Ali. This airport was established in 1947. It has 3 runways, but it's world famous for being the main hub of UPS. UPS is the main international operator of this airport, and it operates many destinations around the world, including Cologne, Tokyo, Shanghai, and all that. The world port is huge. It covers an area of 5.2 million square feet, 8 football fields. It can handle 115 packages per second, or 416,000 per hour. It is an absolutely huge area, and it employs nearly 20,000 people are employed. It's crazy. In addition for cargo flights, Louisville Center is also well known for being a hub for Southwest Airlines and other small regional flights across the U.S. So that's it. That concludes the City of Louisville tour. Okay, and negative 145 feet per minute. That's not bad. Not bad at all. That was a good flight. That was a great flight, guys. I really do appreciate it. So let's see who else is coming to land. So we have Tarnish in the F-35 Lightning. The F-35 Lightning II, one of the world's most modern advanced jet fighters. And that is it, guys. I think that's going to be the end of the journey for today. This was a nice tour of the city of Louisville, my home city. I hope you guys now know my neck of the woods for where I live. Before we go, we're going to get a quick tour of the airport. This is designed by FS Dream Team. They made this airport. You can see all the civilian terminals. There's the parking garage, like real life. There's the terminal. So there's the terminal, and then obviously there's the civil aviation terminals for the commercial airliners. And then most of his airport, which is all of this is all UPS. UPS handles all their packages here. All the Worldport stuff is handled back here for UPS. All that's handled here. And this here is where the Kentucky Air National Guard's located here. So there it is. Kentucky Air National Guard is right here. So that's pretty much it, everyone. So this is the city tour of Louisville, Kentucky, my home city. I hope you guys actually like it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So the question is what to do now. So on Wednesday, I'll be doing the debut of something new. And it's going to be a Firefly Air flight with Firefly Air. And I'll be doing a cargo flight in, hopefully, the PMDG 737 Boeing converted freighter for Firefly Air. And maybe I'll be doing a flight to a country I never visited before. Maybe a flight into Germany, maybe, for the Boeing 737. I'm going to try and find a country I never flew before. But I'm going to take the PMDG 737 cargo plane. Probably fly somewhere to a place no one's flied before. And next Sunday, I'm going to continue the next city tour. I was actually thinking of something a little bit more appropriate. It's something much more historic. Maybe I might actually be flying somewhere in Europe, actually. And I'm going to start with a place known as the Pool. Yes, I've been thinking about flying into Liverpool, actually, which has photo entry. I'm going to be flying to Liverpool on Sunday in the United Kingdom. So check me out on Sunday, and I'll do a city tour of Liverpool, United Kingdom. So I really do appreciate everyone. Thank you for coming along today. As for who we're going to raid, I'm going to raid someone a little different today. I guess I'm going to probably raid Angry One Horn today. Unless you guys want me to pick someone else. I mean, Mint's also on. But I mean, I've rated Mint so many times. I think Agro Horn would be the one I want to pick for today. So thank you guys so much. Ah, your hometown. Yes. That's going to be cool. So let's go ahead and rate Angry One Horn. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do any rates for today. I decided not to. So I wanted to say thank you for everyone and see you on Wednesday. Take care, everyone. Viperstrike 95 is out.